So I'm an asshole. And in particular way for most of my life, because I don't drink. I never have had a drink. And I've always had like a really good answer for why, because especially when you're younger, people ask you like, why don't you drink? And you're just like, I don't know, I got all sorts of reasons. So I've come up with all these reasons along the way, and now that I'm older, like it doesn't matter. People are like, oh, you don't drink? Okay, whatever. And so now I can just be like, yeah, I just don't. And then people don't even care. But as I was growing up, I always had to have like what I thought was a good reason. And so I've gone through all of these different kind of phases where I have reasons, and the best and most noble one, of course, was the one was like, oh, you know, my grandfather, he was an alcoholic, so, you know, and people are really okay with that. And it was true, he was an alcoholic. I never met him, he never did anything to me. By all accounts, he too was an asshole. But, you know, I just was able to use that, because most people are afraid of the answer, I just don't drink. Like they want, I don't drink because, right? I don't drink because I'm an alcoholic, right? I don't drink because God tells me not to. I don't drink because I get really sick. And so if you have those things, people are okay with it. But when you're just like, no, I just don't drink, people like narrow their eyes, and then it's like, you're judging me. And the truth is, for a long time I was, because like I said, I was an asshole. And particularly in high school, I took it upon myself to, you know, to just be an asshole about it. Because I was lonely and had no friends, and so I figured, you know, why bother trying? So, you know, a lot of times I would have a few friends, and they would tell me about their weekends, and they're like, oh, I got so drunk. And so I had like this list of just weird, like, alcohol in my face experiences. And, you know, one of my friends, she was just like, oh, you know, I got so wasted at this party, and like, we were playing pool, and it was like strip pool, but I was winning, but I wanted to take my shirt off, so I did. And I just like looked at her, and I was like, wow, you suck. I had a crush on you until like 10 seconds ago. Yeah, so I'm like a real jerk, right? And then, you know, and then like other things happened to me as I got older. Like, I met this girl, she came over to my house, and like 10 minutes after showing up, she was like, do you mind if I drink? And I was like, well, I don't have anything to drink. And she says, no, that's okay. And she opened up her bag, and she took out these little airline bottles of alcohol, and proceeded to drink them all. And I had another girlfriend who, like, the first time she was meeting my friends, like, and she, like, came in, and my friend's like, do you want a beer? And she was like, sure. She was, like, done with that beer in, like, 4 minutes. And I was like, wow. And then she was, like, done with another beer. And I think she had 4 in about 45 minutes. And my friends actually pulled me aside and were like, what is wrong with this girl? You don't drink. Why are you with this girl who drinks? And I was like, I didn't realize. I did, but I didn't. You know, so all my life, I just kind of feel like, oh, you know, I've got to have these explanations, and I've got to associate myself with this, you know, some kind of real movement. And, you know, the straight edge thing never worked because the music is just so shitty to me. And you know, I'm not going to get a tattoo and all these things because, you know, again, this all comes back to me being a jerk. So what I realized, though, is that I have the explanations, but they don't actually work. And really, what it comes back to is not my grandfather, and not like, you know, me being like not accepted by these, you know, these girlfriends that I had. It came down to 9th grade. And I had this best friend. He was my best friend from like 4th grade to 9th grade. And he, you know, his name was Scott, and we would hang out and watch horror movies. We even made horror movies. We watched Phillies games, you know, and like our dads would drive us. We didn't even live near Philadelphia. It was like 2 hours away. We would go to see Phillies games because they were like $7 seats. You know, this is back when they stunk. And so all this stuff, so like this is like my best friend, like sleepovers. But then you go to high school and things change, and I noticed that he was bringing this other guy around that he was really good friends with, and he had like these glasses, and I had glasses, but not those glasses, right? And he had like awkward hair, and just had this weird way of laughing. He made these jokes, and he was basically me, but he drank. And I didn't realize it at first until one day they were sitting here talking about something that happened that I wasn't a part of, and it was like, oh yeah, so then you just that. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Because that's how it sounded to me, because I wasn't part of the story. And so my friend Scott was just like, oh yeah, he came over to my house this weekend and we drank so much, and it was, I don't even know what we drank, it was probably really bad. And then we were drinking, and then my mom came home with the groceries, and we had to help her with the groceries, but we were so drunk that I tripped over the groceries, and then the other groceries fell, but I don't think my mom knew. And I was sitting there, and I was like, wow, what a horrible story. And at that moment I made a decision that I was never going to drink. Which is really, really bad, because I made the decision because I wasn't being included. It wasn't because it was some noble thing. I just felt left out. And And the worst thing you could ever do is take advice from your 9th grade self. And yet here I am at 34, and I still haven't drunk. And perhaps I should have, because I missed out on all this other stuff that everybody seems so happy about, and I was just sitting in a corner going, oh yeah, you guys are jerks, right? And it was just constant judgment coming from me, when in fact I was the one just that anointed myself and alienated myself so that they wouldn't get a chance to reject me. And it was so stupid to realize that, and it took me so long. But you know, what the hell can you do? So I'm going to go back to my root beer.
Yeah!